From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order Watch.
1975. If 1974 was the year the storm broke, then 1975 was the year we faced the debris. We were a country still healing from scandal, still staggering from war, and still unsure if our institutions could carry the weight of our expectations, but I never forgot the oath I took, not to a party, not to a predecessor, but to the Constitution of the United States. And in 1975, that promise was tested again and again. Let's start with the most painful chapter, the fall of Saigon. On April 30th, the last American personnel were evacuated from the U.S. Embassy in South Vietnam. Helicopters lifted off the rooftop while desperate South Vietnamese clung to fences, trying to escape what they knew was coming. It was the end of a long, divisive war, a war we didn't win, a war that tore at the fabric of our society. And though I hadn't sent our troops there, I had to be the one who brought them home. And I had to make the call that we couldn't go back. It was one of the hardest decisions I ever made, not to re-engage militarily, but I believed it was time to close that chapter and not sacrifice more American lives to a war the American people no longer supported. I took criticism for that, and I carried it, but I did what I thought was right. Back home, the challenges were just as serious. Inflation was still high. Unemployment was rising. People were losing faith not only in government, but in the promise of the American dream itself. I tried to govern not with fear, but with facts. I asked Americans to confront hard truths, that recovery would take discipline, that prosperity couldn't be patched together overnight, and that leadership meant making the tough calls when applause wasn't coming. I proposed a tax cut to stimulate growth, and at the same time pushed for spending restraints to keep inflation from surging again. Some said it was contradictory. I said it was common sense. We had to balance relief with responsibility. And while we navigated economic strain, we were also facing a profound energy crisis. Gasoline was still expensive. Foreign oil dependency had become a national vulnerability. So I called on Congress and the American people to conserve, innovate, and prepare for the long haul. We weren't just looking to survive 75. We were trying to build a foundation for the future. Internationally, détente with the Soviet Union was still in motion. I met with General Secretary Brezhnev to keep dialogue open, because I believed in peace through strength, but also peace through diplomacy. We saw the unthinkable happen abroad, too. The Khmer Rouge took control of Cambodia, unleashing what would become one of history's darkest genocides. We didn't yet know the full horror, but the instability in Southeast Asia was undeniable. Back in the U.S., distrust in Washington lingered, but I didn't run from it. I tried to meet it with transparency and humility. I wasn't interested in making enemies. I was interested in rebuilding trust. I vetoed bills when I thought they overspent. I signed the ones that made sense. And when the American people disagreed with me, I listened, because that's what the job demands. Not perfection, but persistence. 1975 was about repairing what had been broken, restoring faith where it had been lost, and governing with steadiness in a time of swirling uncertainty. And much of that work, the energy decisions, the economic strategies, the foreign policy pivots, were written in the margins of legislation. But also, many were etched into action through executive orders. I didn't use them recklessly, but I used them when the moment required it, to move the nation forward when Congress couldn't move fast enough, or when unity demanded clarity. In just a moment, we'll go through those orders, one by one. We'll see how they address the crises of the time, and how some of them still shape the way we govern, negotiate, and prepare for the future today. Executive Order 11,827, continuance of certain federal advisory committees on January 4, 1975. Executive Order 11,828, establishing a commission on CIA activities within the United States on January 4, 1975. Executive Order 11,829, the Hopi-Navajo Land Settlement Interagency Committee on January 6, 1975. Executive Order 11,830, enlarging the membership of the Interagency Committee on Handicapped Employees on January 9, 1975. Executive Order 11,831, amending Executive Order Number 11,768, placing certain positions in levels 4 and 5 of the Executive Schedule on January 9, 1975. Executive Order 11,832, establishing a National Commission on the Observance of International Women's Year, 1975, on January 9, 1975. Executive Order 11,833, withholding of city income or employment taxes by federal agencies on January 13, 1975. Executive Order 11,834, activation of the Energy Research and Development Administration and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission on January 15, 1975. Executive Order 11,835, prescribing amendments to the Manual for Courts-Martial, United States, 1969, revised edition on January 27, 1975. Executive Order 11,836, increasing the effectiveness of the Transportation Cargo Security Program on January 27, 1975. Executive Order 11,837, amending Executive Order Number 11,803 to extend the period for application for Clemency Board review on January 30, 1975. Executive Order 11,838, amending Executive Order Number 11,491, relating to labor management relations in the Federal Service on February 6, 1975. Executive Order 11,839, amending the Civil Service Rules to accept certain positions in regional offices from the Career Service on February 15, 1975. Executive Order 11,840, waiver of certain provisions of law and limitations of authority on February 18, 1975. Executive Order 11,841, amending Executive Order Number 10,973 to provide for a Development Coordination Committee on February 28, 1975. Executive Order 11,842, amending Executive Order Nos. 11,803 and 11,837 to extend Clemency Board review period on February 28, 1975. Executive Order 11,843, amending Executive Order Number 11,768, placing certain positions in levels 4 and 5 of the Executive Schedule on March 18, 1975. Executive Order 11,844, designation of beneficiary developing countries for the Generalized System of Preferences on March 24, 1975. Executive Order 11,845, delegating certain reporting functions to the Director of the Office of Management and Budget on March 24, 1975. Executive Order 11,846, Administration of the Trade Agreements Program on March 27, 1975. Executive Order 11,847, Exemption of Walter C. Sauer from mandatory retirement on March 28, 1975. Executive Order 11,848. Extending the reporting date for the Commission on CIA activities within the United States on March 29, 1975. Executive Order 11,849. Establishing the Collective Bargaining Committee in Construction on April 1, 1975. Executive Order 11,850. Renunciation of certain uses in war of chemical herbicides and riot control agents on April 8, 1975. Executive Order 11,851, Delegation of Authority to issue regulations limiting imports of certain cheeses on April 10, 1975. Executive Order 11,852. Creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between certain carriers and employees on April 16, 1975. Executive Order 11,853, amending Executive Order Number 11,829, relating to the Hopi Navajo Land Settlement Interagency Committee on April 17, 1975. Executive Order 11,854, waiver under the Trade Act of 1974 with respect to the Socialist Republic of Romania on April 24, 1975. Executive Order 11,855, membership of the Energy Resources Council on May 1, 1975. Executive Order 11,856, amending the civil service rules to accept certain positions from the career service on May 7, 1975. Executive Order 11,857, amending Executive Orders 11,803, 11,837, and 11,842 to increase members of the Presidential Clemency Board on May 7, 1975. Executive Order 11,858, foreign investment in the United States on May 7, 1975. Executive Order 11,859, inspection of income, estate, and gift tax returns by the Senate Committee on Government Operations on May 7, 1975. Executive Order 11,860. Establishing the President's Advisory Committee on Refugees on May 19, 1975. Executive Order 11,861, placing certain positions in levels 4 and 5 of the executive schedule on May 21, 1975. Executive Order 11,862, amending Executive Order Number 11,652, relating to classification and declassification of national security information on June 11, 1975. Executive Order 11,863, withholding of city income or employment taxes by federal agencies on June 12, 1975. Executive Order 11,864, amending Executive Order Number 11,861, placing certain positions in levels 4 and 5 of the executive schedule on June 13, 1975. Executive Order 11,865, amending Executive Order Num. 11,808 to increase the membership of the Executive Committee of the Economic Policy Board on June 16, 1975. Executive Order 11,866, designating the World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, as a public international organization entitled to privileges and immunities on June 18, 1975. Executive Order 11,867, delegating to the Administrator of General Services Authority to issue joint funding regulations on June 19, 1975. Executive Order 11,868, President's Commission on Olympic Sports on June 19, 1975. Executive Order 11,869, exemption of Arthur S. Fleming from mandatory retirement on June 24, 1975. Executive Order 11,874, delegation of functions to the Director of the Office of Management and Budget on July 25, 1975. Executive Order 11,873, amending Executive Order number 11,868 on the President's Commission on Olympic Sports on July 21, 1975. Executive Order 11,872, amending Executive Order NAR 11,861, placing certain positions in levels 4 and 5 of the Executive Schedule on July 21, 1975. Executive Order 11,871, transferring the SCORE and ACE programs from the Action Agency to the Small Business Administration on July 18, 1975. Executive Order 11,870, environmental safeguards on activities for animal damage control on federal lands on July 18, 1975. Executive Order 11,875, delegating certain functions to the Secretary of Transportation on August 9, 1975. Executive Order 11,879, delegating to the Secretary of Commerce functions relating to orders for the provision of chemicals or substances for treatment of water on September 17, 1975. Executive Order 11,878, assigning responsibilities relating to activities of the Presidential Clemency Board on September 10, 1975. Executive Order 11,877, amending Executive Order number 11,861, as amended, placing certain positions in levels 4 and 5 of the Executive Schedule on September 2, 1975. Executive Order 11,876, creating an emergency board to investigate a dispute between the carriers represented by the National Railway Labor Conference and certain of their employees on September 2, 1975. Executive Order 11,886, abolishing the Culebra Island Naval Defensive Sea Area, established by Executive Order number 8,684 on October 17, 1975. Executive Order 11,885, amending Executive Order number 11,861 as amended, placing certain positions in levels 4 and 5 of the Executive Schedule on October 15, 1975. Executive Order 11,884, prescribing the official coat of arms, seal, and flag of the Vice President of the United States on October 7, 1975. Executive Order 11,883, adjustments of certain rates of pay and allowances on October 6, 1975. Executive Order 11,882, membership of Energy Research and Development Administration on established river basin commissions on October 6, 1975. Executive Order 11,881, delegation of authority to issue regulations with respect to Section 459 of the Social Security Act on October 3, 1975. Executive Order 11,880, designation of officers of the Department of Commerce to act as Secretary of Commerce on October 2, 1975. Executive Order 11,888, implementing the Generalized System of Preferences on November 24, 1975. Executive Order 11,887, amending the Civil Service Rules to accept certain positions from the Career Service on November 4, 1975. Executive Order 11,889, amending Executive Order number 11,832 of January 9, 1975, to extend the existence of the National Commission on the Observance of International Women's Year 1975 on November 25, 1975. Executive Order 11,890, amending Executive Order number 10, 1422, as amended, prescribing procedures for making available to the Secretary General of the United Nations certain information concerning United States citizens employed or being considered for employment on the Secretariat of the United Nations on December 10, 1975. Executive Order 11,891, providing for the closing of government departments and agencies on Friday, December 26, 1975, on December 15, 1975. Executive Order 11,892, amending Executive Order number 11,746, relating to federal regional councils on December 31, 1975. Executive Order 11,893, transferring certain functions from the General Services Administration to the Office of Management and Budget on December 31st, 1975.
Pauline's Pizza, where we deliver happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
Ah, I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at Da Bomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search Da Bomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
1975, it was a year of reckoning, a year of transition, a year that tested the soul of America. We were barely 8 months out from Watergate when the calendar turned. The nation was still aching from betrayal, still learning to trust the White House again. And into that space stepped President Gerald Ford, not elected by the people, but trusted by the Constitution. Now, Ford didn't ask to be president, but he didn't flinch from it either. He stepped into the job with steadiness and humility. And in 1975, the full weight of the Oval Office pressed down on his shoulders. That year brought enormous challenges, foreign and domestic. We watched the final, painful collapse of South Vietnam, helicopters evacuating Saigon, images that defined the end of the Vietnam War, and forced a nation to reckon with 2 decades of conflict, confusion, and sacrifice. It was more than the end of a war. It was the end of American innocence abroad. Back home, we weren't spared hardship either. Inflation was high, unemployment rising, energy prices unpredictable, trust in government was fragile, and every decision carried the gravity of potential collapse or renewal. Now, President Ford didn't govern through grand speeches or soaring promises. He governed through structure, through action, through executive orders. He issued more than 60 executive orders in 1975. Some might seem bureaucratic at first glance, but they quietly, firmly reshaped how government responded to crisis. He pushed for accountability and environmental control, tightening animal damage operations on federal lands. He championed civil service reform, adjusting executive schedules to bring more structure to federal leadership. He addressed Olympic oversight, forming commissions to better manage how we represented ourselves on the global athletic stage, not just for sports, but for values. He moved power and programs across agencies, transferring SCORE and ACE from the Action Agency to the SBA, strengthening local entrepreneurship at a time of national economic uncertainty. He expanded the authority of the Office of Management and Budget, reinforcing fiscal discipline in a time of budget chaos. These were quiet reforms, but they added up. They laid the foundation for restoring government credibility, not with flair, but with function. Now, let me be clear. Not every move Ford made was popular. His clemency programs, especially for draft evaders, divided public opinion. But they also began healing a generational wound. He believed reconciliation was worth the risk. And while the economy still hurt, his executive actions paved the way for more measured, pragmatic governance in the post-Nixon era. Less paranoia, more professionalism, less imperial presidency, more constitutional process. That's what 1975 looked like, a country coming back to its senses, not yet healed, but no longer bleeding out. And Gerald Ford, he held the tourniquet. Now we'll be diving into the top 10 executive orders of 1975 next, the ones that shaped not just that year, but the legacy of Ford's presidency and the policies that echo even now. Because if history teaches us anything, it's that the smallest memo, the shortest order, can shift the arc of government and the destiny of a people. Let's take a look. Good evening, my fellow Americans. As we turn back the pages of history to the year 1975, we find ourselves at a crossroads in the American journey, marked by cautious healing, recalibration of global relationships, and a White House led by a man who never sought the presidency but carried its burdens with decency, Gerald R. Ford. President Ford's style of leadership was marked by restoration, restoring public faith after Watergate, stabilizing an economy racked by inflation, and steering our foreign policy through unpredictable global tides. He was a man of Congress, of compromise, of calm in the storm. His governance wasn't built on charisma, but on competence, steadiness, and the belief that doing the right thing mattered more than winning a popularity contest. Now, 1975 was no ordinary year. This was the year the Vietnam War came to a jarring close, as Saigon fell and the final U.S. helicopters lifted off the embassy rooftop. It was the year of the Mayaguez incident, a military crisis in the Gulf of Thailand that tested Ford's resolve. Domestically, America faced a deepening energy crisis, a surge in unemployment, and a wounded trust in government institutions. Against this backdrop, President Ford signed executive orders that may not have grabbed headlines at the time, but in hindsight, they reveal a president actively engaged in rebuilding the machinery of governance. Orders that focused on environmental reform, civil service modernization, transparency in federal records, and regulatory accountability. These were not empty gestures. They were bricks laid for the future foundation. Let me take a moment to walk you through the top 10 executive orders of 1975 and how each one, directly or indirectly, still echoes through our current moment. Number 10, Executive Order 11,873, establishing the Privacy Protection Study Commission. Then, 1975, the scars of Watergate were fresh. Americans had learned that their own government was secretly spying, not just on political rivals, but also on civil rights activists, protesters, journalists, and even ordinary citizens. The social fabric of trust was unraveling. In this context, President Ford signed Executive Order 11,873 to form the Privacy Protection Study Commission. This commission wasn't symbolic. It was tasked with digging deep into how federal agencies collected, stored, and shared personal data. For the first time, a formal mechanism was created to evaluate the government's responsibility in protecting the citizens' right to privacy. Now, present. The results of this commission directly influenced landmark legislation. The Privacy Act of 1974, FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and even the early infrastructure of the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. Fast forward to today's digital age, where facial recognition, biometric scanning, social media profiling, and AI-driven analytics touch every part of life. The legacy of Executive Order 11,873 echoes loudly. Today's discussions on digital privacy, federal data collection limits, and AI regulations all trace back to the foundational principles laid by this commission. Number 9. Executive Order 11,865, amending EO 11,808 and clarifying the role of the Economic Policy Board, then 1975. America was caught in the grips of stagflation, a rare economic combo of high inflation, stagnant growth, and high unemployment. To address the chaos, Ford reshaped the Economic Policy Board, EPB, into a more unified structure through Executive Order 1865. This empowered the EPB to coordinate fiscal and monetary strategies across departments, streamlining responses to inflation, taxation, job creation, and economic stability. Now present, the model introduced here eventually became the blueprint for the National Economic Council, NEC. It institutionalized economic coordination, which became essential during crises like the 2008 recession and the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, integrated economic war rooms, such as those used during stimulus planning and debt ceiling negotiations, owe their DNA to Executive Order 11,865. It normalized the idea that no major economic move should occur in isolation. Number 8, Executive Order 11,855, expanding the role of the Energy Resources Council, then 1975. The shock of the 1973 OPEC oil embargo was still reverberating. America's dependency on foreign oil had left it economically vulnerable and politically exposed. Ford expanded the powers of the Energy Resources Council, ERC, to ensure long-term planning, alternative energy exploration, and interagency coordination. This EO wasn't just about oil. It was about energy independence and security. Now, present, the ERC's framework led directly to the formation of the U.S. Department of Energy and the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. EO 11,855 created the mindset that national energy planning is a matter of both economic and national security. Its influence is visible in policies promoting renewable energy, subsidies for electric vehicles, and strategies addressing climate change and international energy crises. Number 7, Executive Order 11,849, creating the President's Labor Management Committee. Then, 1975, labor tensions in the 1970s were reaching boiling points. Strikes and walkouts were common, and mistrust between government, unions, and employers was growing. EO 11,849 established a formal committee to promote labor management collaboration. Rather than reacting to conflict, it created a structure for proactive dialogue, negotiation, and trust building. Now present, this committee's structure helped lay the groundwork for the Federal Labor Relations Authority and strengthen mediation as a tool in labor disputes. Today, amid rising union activity across sectors, education, retail, tech, the principles from Executive Order 1849 live on. From teacher strikes to Amazon warehouse unionization, the EO's commitment to balance remains a model for labor relations. Number 6, Executive Order 11,859, relating to environmental quality. Then, 1975. By 1975, the environmental movement was no longer fringe. EO 11,859 formalized how federal agencies had to coordinate environmental assessments. Ensuring that no major public project could escape environmental scrutiny, it compelled cross-agency data sharing, planning, and consultation on ecological impact. Now, present, this EO is the backbone of modern NEPA, National Environmental Policy Act, compliance. Its influence can be seen in everything from infrastructure bills to wind farm approvals and highway expansions. In the age of climate change, Executive Order 11,859's legacy is vital. Every major federal project today begins with environmental impact assessments born from this foundational policy. Number 5, Executive Order 11,866, designating certain officers to act as Secretary of the Treasury, then 1975. While technical in nature, EO 11,866 ensured continuity in leadership at one of the most crucial departments during economic instability. In an age before digital redundancy and cloud governance, a lack of clarity in succession could have paralyzed markets and delayed responses. Now, present, Executive Order 11,866 created a model used during financial crises, including the 2008 economic collapse and COVID-19 emergency stimulus measures. It made sure there would always be someone ready to take command in the Treasury. No delays, no uncertainty, no vacuum. In today's fast-moving global market, such redundancy is essential to maintain investor confidence and financial stability. Number 4, Executive Order 11,883, adjusting rates of pay for the uniformed services. Then, 1975. The Vietnam War had just ended, and the military was in a precarious position. Troop morale was low, recruitment was struggling, and public support was divided. EO 11,883 raised pay across military ranks, reaffirming respect for the armed forces in a time of transition and uncertainty. Now, present. This EO helped build the case for future military pay increases and benefits. Its influence is visible in today's military compensation packages, education benefits, like the post-9/11 GI Bill, and National Guard incentives. Ford's move wasn't just financial, it was symbolic. It said, your service matters even when the war ends. Number 3, Executive Order 11,878, transferring clemency board functions to the Attorney General. Then, 1975, as part of Ford's healing process after Vietnam, he created a clemency program for draft dodgers and deserters. EO 11,878 transitioned this temporary effort into a formalized process under the Attorney General, making it less politicized and more administrative. Now, present. The architecture of this EO still shapes how modern clemency and pardon decisions are handled. Whether it's pardons for nonviolent drug offenses or reentry programs for former inmates, Executive Order 11,878 created the legal and bureaucratic skeleton for institutional compassion without abandoning justice. Number 2, Executive Order 11,861, promoting responsible federal regulation. Then, 1975, Americans were growing wary of bloated regulation. EO 11,861 aimed to ensure every new federal rule passed a test of logic. Is the benefit worth the cost? This EO ushered in cost-benefit analysis and economic scrutiny of regulation for the first time at the federal level. Now, present, every administration since has built upon this foundation, whether it's Obama's regulatory impact reviews or Trump's 2-for-1 deregulation plan. The seeds were planted in Executive Order 1861. Today's OIRA, Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, functions thanks to this EO's basic framework, influencing everything from environmental rules to health mandates. Number 1, Executive Order 11,863, improving federal records management. Then 1975, in the aftermath of Watergate, America had learned a hard truth. When records are destroyed or hidden, democracy suffers. EO 11,863 established new standards for maintaining, preserving, and disclosing federal records. It emphasized the duty of transparency, not as a courtesy, but as a cornerstone of democracy. Now, present. This EO laid the foundation for the Presidential Records Act and federal FOIA expansions. In today's world of email leaks, digital archiving, cloud storage, and cybersecurity breaches, the values of Executive Order 1863 remain critically relevant. It ensures that government cannot operate in the shadows. From pandemic response audits to investigations like January 6th, this EO guarantees history will have a paper trail and that the people will have access to it. Now, what were the major global events of 1975? The Vietnam War's end on April 30th changed U.S. foreign policy forever. The Helsinki Accords in August marked a shift in East-West relations and planted seeds for future human rights pressure on the Soviet bloc. The Khmer Rouge came to power in Cambodia, beginning a genocide that would shock the world. The economic aftershocks of the 1973 oil embargo were still ravaging Western economies, including our own. And here at home, the Church Committee launched an unprecedented investigation into CIA, NSA, and FBI abuses, redefining the line between national security and civil liberty. President Ford survived 2 assassination attempts just weeks apart, testing Secret Service protocols. The New York City fiscal crisis foreshadowed the debates we still have about federal bailouts for local governments. Each of these events shaped the kind of executive orders Ford issued. Each EO wasn't random. It was reactive, adaptive, or preventative. And many still govern the institutions we rely on today. So as we prepare to break down the 10 most defining executive orders of 1975, one by one, let's remember, what may seem administrative in the moment can echo through generations. Now let's take a deeper look into each of these top 10 executive orders and see how they shape the America of today.
Some write history with blood, some with laws, but the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool, it's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it. They order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering. From the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Order can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.